The Rashford-MBEUMO swap. How Manchester United's transfer strategy is taking shape. Imagine waking up to find that Marcus Rashford, the Manchester United Academy graduate who once scored 30 goals in a season, is heading to Barcelona while Bryan MBEUMO from Brentford is putting on the famous red shirt. Sounds like something from a football video game, right? Well, this might actually happen this summer. The latest transfer news suggests that Barcelona are seriously considering Marcus Rashford as a long-term replacement for Robert Lewandowski. At the same time, Manchester United have reportedly reached an agreement on personal terms with Bryan MBEUMO from Brentford. This could be the beginning of one of the most interesting transfer summers in United's recent history. But what does this all mean for Manchester United? Are they making the right moves, or are they about to make another costly mistake? Let's dive deep into these transfer stories and see what's really happening at Old Trafford. The Rashford situation. From hero to exit door. Let's start with the big story that has every United fan talking. Marcus Rashford's potential move to Barcelona isn't just another transfer rumor. This is a player who grew up supporting United, came through their academy, and became one of their most important players. So what went wrong? How did we get to a point where United's own academy graduate might be leaving for one of their biggest rivals in European football? The answer lies in what happened this season. Remember that Manchester derby back in December? Both Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho were dropped from the squad completely. Since then, Rashford hasn't played a single minute for Manchester United. Think about that for a moment. A player who scored 30 goals just 2 seasons ago has been completely frozen out of the team. That tells you everything about how bad the relationship between Rashford and manager Ruben Amorim has become. Why Barcelona want Rashford? Barcelona's interest in Rashford makes perfect sense when you look at their situation. Robert Lewandowski is 36 years old and won't play forever. Barcelona need to start planning for life after the Polish striker, and Rashford could be the perfect long-term solution. Rashford is still only 27 years old, which means he has several good years ahead of him. He's proven he can score goals at the highest level, and he has experience playing in big matches. From Barcelona's perspective, he could be exactly what they need. But here's the interesting part. The reports suggest Barcelona are considering a loan move first. This would give them a chance to see how Rashford fits into their system without making a huge financial commitment up front. For Rashford, this could be the perfect opportunity to restart his career. Playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world, in a league where his pace and directness could be even more effective, might be exactly what he needs. What this means for United. If Rashford does leave, it will mark the end of an era at Old Trafford. He's been with the club since he was a young boy, and many fans still remember his debut goal against Midtjylland in the Europa League back in 2016. But sometimes, endings are necessary for new beginnings. The relationship between Rashford and United seems beyond repair. Neither side appears willing to compromise, and continuing this standoff helps nobody. From a financial perspective, United could get a decent fee for Rashford, even if it's initially a loan deal. Barcelona would likely have to pay a loan fee, and there would probably be an option or obligation to buy at the end of the loan period. This money could then be used to fund other transfers, like the reported move for Bryan MBEUMO. Enter Bryan MBEUMO, the Brentford star. While everyone's talking about Rashford leaving, let's focus on who might be coming in. Bryan MBEUMO has been one of the most consistent performers in the Premier League over the past few seasons, and United have reportedly agreed personal terms with him. Who exactly is Bryan MBEUMO, and why do United want him so badly? The MBEUMO story. Bryan MBEUMO is a 25-year-old winger who plays for Brentford. He was born in France but represents Cameroon at international level. He's been with Brentford since 2019, helping them get promoted to the Premier League and then establish themselves as a solid top-flight team. What makes MBEUMO special is his consistency. Season after season, he delivers for Brentford. He can play on either wing, he's good at tracking back to help in defense, and he knows how to find the net when his team needs him most. This season, MBEUMO has been one of Brentford's standout players again. He's shown that he can perform at Premier League level week in and week out, which is exactly what United need right now. Why United want MBEUMO? United's interest in MBEUMO makes a lot of sense when you look at their current situation. They need players who are reliable, hardworking, and understand what it takes to succeed in the Premier League. MBEUMO fits all these criteria perfectly. He's not a flashy player who will grab all the headlines, but he's the type of player who will give you 7 out of 10 performances consistently. Sometimes that's more valuable than a player who gives you 9 out of 10 one week and 4 out of 10 the next. Another important factor is that MBEUMO knows the Premier League inside and out. He won't need time to adapt to the pace or physicality of English football. He can come in and contribute immediately, which is crucial for a United team that needs to start winning games quickly. The personal terms agreement. Reports suggest that United have already reached an agreement on personal terms with MBEUMO. This is a significant step in any transfer deal. It means that the player wants to join United and they've agreed on salary, contract length, and other personal details. However, agreeing personal terms is only half the battle. United still need to agree on a transfer fee with Brentford, and that could be where things get complicated. Brentford won't want to lose one of their best players easily. They'll demand a good price from MBEUMO, especially knowing that he's entering the prime years of his career. United might have to pay somewhere between £30 to £40 million to secure his services. The bigger picture, United's transfer strategy. Looking at these two potential moves together, you can start to see a pattern in United's transfer strategy under Ruben Amorim. Out with the old, in with the reliable. The potential departure of Rashford and arrival of MBEUMO represents a shift in United's approach to transfers. Instead of chasing big names and flashy signings, they seem to be focusing on players who will fit their system and give consistent performances. This is exactly what successful clubs do. They identify what they need and then find the right players to fill those roles, regardless of whether those players are household names or not. MBEUMO might not have the same reputation as Rashford, but he could end up being a much better fit for what Amorim wants to achieve at United. Learning from past mistakes. United have made some terrible transfer decisions in recent years. They've spent huge amounts of money on players who didn't work out, like Jadon Sancho and Antony. The MBEUMO move suggests they're learning from these mistakes. Instead of paying £80 million for a player who might or might not adapt to the Premier League, they're targeting a player who has already proven himself in English football. It's a much smarter approach. Building team chemistry. One of the biggest problems at United in recent seasons has been the lack of team chemistry. Too many players seem to be playing for themselves rather than for the team. MBEUMO is known for being a team player. He works hard for his teammates, tracks back to help in defense, and always puts the team's needs ahead of his own statistics. This is exactly the type of mentality United need to rebuild. The financial aspect. Let's talk about the money involved in these potential deals, because that's always an important factor in modern football. Getting value for Rashford. Even though Rashford's stock has fallen this season, he's still a valuable player in the transfer market. He's young, experienced, and has proven he can score goals at the highest level. If Barcelona do decide to make a permanent move for him, United could receive anywhere from £50 to £70 million. Even a loan deal would bring in a significant loan fee, probably around £10 to £15 million. This money would be crucial for funding other transfers, including the MBEUMO deal. The MBEUMO investment. MBEUMO won't be cheap, but he won't break the bank either. Brentford will probably ask for around £35 to £40 million, which is reasonable for a proven Premier League performer. When you compare this to some of United's recent signings, it looks like excellent value. They paid £85 million for Antony, who has struggled to make an impact. If they can get similar or better production from MBEUMO for half the price, it will be a huge win. Financial fair play considerations. United also need to be careful about financial fair play rules. Selling Rashford and buying MBEUMO could actually improve their financial position, especially if they get a good fee for the England international. This type of smart financial management is exactly what United need to get back on track both on and off the pitch. What the fans think. United fans are split on these potential moves, and you can understand why. The Rashford dilemma. Many fans are heartbroken at the thought of losing Rashford. He's been a symbol of hope during some very difficult times at the club. His goals have won United important matches, and his local connection made him special to many supporters. But other fans think it's time to move on. They've watched Rashford's performances decline, and they've seen how his relationship with the manager has broken down. Sometimes, a fresh start is best for everyone involved. Excitement about MBEUMO. The reaction to the MBEUMO links has been more positive. Many United fans have watched him play for Brentford and been impressed by his work rate and consistency. There's a feeling that United need players like MBEUMO, reliable, hardworking professionals who will give everything for the team. These are the types of players who help create a winning culture. Potential challenges. Of course, these transfers aren't guaranteed to happen. There are several challenges that could prevent them from going through. Barcelona's financial situation. Barcelona have well-documented financial problems. They might want Rashford, but can they actually afford him? Even a loan deal would require them to pay his wages, which are reportedly very high. If Barcelona can't make the numbers work, Rashford might have to look elsewhere for his next club. Brentford's asking price. Brentford might price MBEUMO out of a move to United. They know how valuable he is to their team, and they might demand more money than United are willing to pay. There's also the possibility that other clubs could enter the race for MBEUMO's signature, driving up the price even further. Player preferences. Even though United have reportedly agreed personal terms with MBEUMO, players can change their minds. If a bigger club comes in for him, he might decide to wait and see what other options become available. Similarly, Rashford might prefer to stay and fight for his place at United rather than move to Barcelona, although that seems unlikely given the current situation. What success would look like? If both these moves happen, what would success look like for United? Short-term goals. In the short term, United need MBEUMO to hit the ground running. They need him to provide the consistency and work rate that has been missing from their attack. If he can contribute 8 to 10 goals and 5 to 8 assists in his first season, while also helping the team defend better as a unit, it would be considered a successful signing. Long-term vision. The long-term vision is about building a team culture where every player works for the team rather than for individual glory. MBEUMO represents this philosophy perfectly. If his signing helps United create a more cohesive, hard-working team, it could be the foundation for future success. The Amorim factor. All of this comes down to Ruben Amorim and his vision for Manchester United. The Portuguese manager has been ruthless in his decisions so far, and these potential moves show that he's not afraid to make difficult choices. Building his team. Amorim wants players who fit his system and share his mentality. If he thinks MBEUMO is a better fit than Rashford, then United fans should probably trust his judgment. After all, he's proven himself as a manager at Sporting CP, where he won the league title and developed a reputation for getting the best out of his players. The risk and reward. Of course, there's always risk involved in major transfers. What if Rashford goes to Barcelona and becomes a star again? What if MBEUMO struggles to adapt to the pressure of playing for United? But sometimes you have to take calculated risks to move forward. Standing still and hoping things will improve isn't a strategy that works in modern football. Looking ahead. As we move deeper into the summer transfer window, these stories will continue to develop. Will Rashford end up at Barcelona? Will MBEUMO become a United player? Only time will tell. What we do know is that United are clearly planning for a different future. They're moving away from the chaos and drama of recent seasons and trying to build something more stable and sustainable. Whether you agree with letting Rashford go or not, you have to admire the clarity of vision that Amorim is showing. He knows what he wants, and he's prepared to make tough decisions to get it. The next few weeks will be crucial for United's future. If they can successfully navigate these transfers, it could be the start of something special. If things go wrong, it could set them back even further. Final thoughts. Football transfers are never just about the players involved. They're about vision, strategy, and building for the future. The potential departure of Marcus Rashford and arrival of Bryan MBEUMO represents all of these things. Yes, it will be sad to see Rashford leave if it happens. He's been a part of United's story for so long that it's hard to imagine the club without him. But sometimes, chapters have to end for new ones to begin. MBEUMO might not be the most exciting signing United could make, but he could be exactly what they need. Football isn't always about the biggest names or the most expensive players. Sometimes it's about finding the right pieces to complete your puzzle. As United fans, all we can do is trust the process and hope that Amorim knows what he's doing. The early signs suggest that he does. These potential moves show a manager who has a clear plan and isn't afraid to execute it. The summer transfer window is always full of surprises. But one thing seems certain. Manchester United are going to look very different next season. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing remains to be seen, but at least they're trying to move forward rather than standing still. Change is never easy, but sometimes it's exactly what's needed. This could be the summer that everything changes for Manchester United. Let's see if they can get it right.